Season 2, Episode 12 starts right now. We are in the Moon Knight era now. I'm your host, Brandon Davis, joined today by Aaron Perrine.
I'm having trouble figuring out if I'm asleep or awake. This all feels like a dream. Welcome to National Jim Viscardi Day, everybody.
National Jim Viscardi Day. Every day feels like that when you live this close to him. We got Jenna Anderson here.
Hey, everybody.
And we got Jamie Jurek. Jamie has something special planned. She requested a segment on today's show. You'll know the segment when we get to it.
Good morning. Can't wait to make everyone mad.
Oh, but hold on. Let's see the shirt. Let's see the amazing shirt you're wearing.
Jenna
Oscar
and
Isaac.
I.
That's right. Coordination.
Yep.
Superyaki.
Yep. Hell yeah.
Layla is transcending right now. Seeing all this Oscar Isaac content, Pedro Pascal content that she is just in the past couple weeks, she's losing her mind. We have a good show today. We're going to talk about Moon Knight spoilers in the second half of the show. We're not going to start the show with the spoilers. If you haven't watched, you can stick around and listen for all of the MCU news. And it was actually a really good week of MCU news, if you're me especially. And we have an exclusive interview that we're going to roll out at the end of this show with Moon Knight producer Grant Curtis. And he produced the original Spider-Man films. And so it's a really cool interview where we talk about all that stuff and what it was like to come back. And we also just talk about Moon Knight. And he knows his stuff from comics. He made Jim Viscardi proud. Jim was sitting over my shoulder listening to that interview when it was happening. And I know he enjoyed it. So that's at the end of the show. Full spoilers for Moon Knight in the second half of the show after the break. But now we're starting with news. And surprising absolutely no one, we are starting with the biggest, best news story of the week. Nova is like officially official now because Deadline said it, and it has a writer. Like, we've heard rumors. I'm pretty sure Murphy's Multiverse and like Illuminati, and I'm sure we got this covered at some point, said that Nova is in development. But now I guess it's just more official. I still even unofficial because Marvel Studios hasn't said anything themselves. I believed Murphy's Multiverse and everyone else and Joe Deckelmeyer from over there at Illuminati. I think a lot of those people are very reliable sources and they're right more often than they're not. But when it comes from Deadline and it has a Moon Knight writer attached to it, it's nice to hear this is happening with a writer instead of like, well, this might be happening. So it's happening. Moon Knight is coming from Nova is coming from Moon Knight writer Saber Pizada. And it could be a movie. It could be a limited series. It seems to be pointing towards limited series with Richard Rider at the front of it, though all of that is unconfirmed. And it seems like, well, we think that sources think. But here we are. Nova is upon us. And I can't believe we're finally here. I mean, we're not here yet. We got a couple more years until we see this. But the fact that one day I'm going to get to wear a Nova costume because Kevin's going to call me and cast me. Go ahead. I was going to ask for your thoughts.
Because my boyfriend's brother texted me and was like, how funny would it be if the next time BD saw Feige, he just did not bring it up at all? Like no mention or reference of it whatsoever. And now I'm like, that would kind of be hilarious if that happened.
Feige and I would.
Yes, I joked to my boyfriend. I was like, yeah, I'm rooting for BD's casting and then I'm going to gun for BD's job. And then I go, I've never seen him act. I'm just going to assume he can do it.
We'll fix it in post. We'll fix it in post.
You mean to tell me that you guys haven't watched my 4-year-old short film that's available for free on you? Wow. I thought we were friends. I'm just messing with you. I just plugged my own short film. Hey, go watch Stay. It's a very emotional. You're guaranteed to cry. Okay? All right. Don't watch Stay if you have. It's Moon Knight Day, so watch that first. But anyway, thank you for the vote of confidence, Jamie. I don't think I'm going to be cast as Nova, and if I am, I will go full Andrew Garfield, and I will be doing Phase Zero from the set of Nova to make sure nobody has any idea. Like, I will be figuring it out. But I will be doing my comic photo with myself at the premiere.
Perfect.
But I want to talk about Richard Rider and Sam Alexander because I like both of those characters very much. I personally want to see Richard Rider come first, and I think that would make Sam Alexander a legacy character the same way we're seeing like Kate Bishop become Hawkeye. And I think if you start with Sam Alexander, you kind of skip to that right away. I also see I do want Sam Alexander because we don't have a lot of like Latin representation in the MCU. So that's a really good way to get some more diversity in there. I'm just a Richard Rider fan, so it's a win-win, to be honest. But I'm also okay with, I think there's a story you could make here where you make Richard Rider the long-lost father of Sam. Because Richard is not Sam's father in the comics, but Richard went and died in the Cancerverse after fighting Thanos and everything. He fought Annihilate. And Sam finds a Nova helmet and discovers that his father is up in space, part of the Nova Corps. So I'm okay if the MCU tends to remix stories like that. If you want to do both of them and you want to start with Sam, you could do that and have his father be Rich Rider, dude from up in the tri-state area. I'm just saying, outcast in high school, like not super cool. From New Jersey, New York, it's all up there. It's all over the same place. I pretty much am Richard Rider. I can't fly, but other than that, I'm the same thing. Anyway, but yeah, I think adding Glenn Close to voice the world mind, like they thought we're going to do that in Infinity War and Endgame. It just sounds like a win. And I'm rambling because it's Moon. This is my Moon Knight. What for Jim? Like I can't believe it's finally happening. Are you guys like? I know Nova is not like a character that is at the front of so many comic stories. Like he's not like an A tier. I'm not going to lie and hype up my character more than like I'm realistic in knowing his place on the totem pole. He's not the most forward-facing character that's at the front of every story because of popularity. I feel like a lot of people have discovered Nova because I talk about him so much. Like I know a lot of people. I'm not taking credit for Nova being popular, but I do think there are people exist who have learned about this character because I talk about him all the time. So, like, is Nova a character the three of you are super familiar with to begin with, or care?
I'll give you one guess.
Fine. It's
No, I
Jamie's
don't know.
favorite character.
But that's what I like. That's what I love. That's what when we get to like Moon Knight later to talk about. Like I'm always jazzed when a character I don't know about comes on the screen, and then I get to learn about them on the screen because then there's a lot more twists and turns. But I think Nova. I mean, my boyfriend who's like pretty well versed, but not like you guys, was like, oh heck yeah, Nova. So I think he's a little more mainstream than you might think, but also not enough that I don't know much about Nova.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can't. Oh, Aaron, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, it's one of those things that's been in the MCU that like hasn't been explained, and there's a lot of those like weird elements floating around because you're like, all this stuff's happening out in space, and you would think the Nova Corps would be around to like poke their heads in and be like, what? He did what? Thanos said, what? Go. What are you doing standing here? Go fight the stuff. And then, go ahead. What's wrong, BD?
No, go ahead.
Okay. And like the X-Men too. Like those two things are like, wow. I'm like, wow, nobody, nothing. Okay. Mm-hmm. But I feel like we're going to get those answers, especially now. I feel like we're absolutely going to get those answers with the Nova Corps.
Yeah.
Also, anything that gets me Sam Alexander more of the champions in the MCU,
yes.
Absolute win. Because we're just stacking all my younglings up in the corner, and he's just another one to like toss in there. Like, yup, can't wait. I'm excited. Well, y'all gonna give me Miles? He's like the last square on the bingo card. Come on.
Absolutely.
I'm sure we have videos about this and articles about this. Anybody who's listening who is unfamiliar with Nova's origin story, this is my opportunity to really flex my knowledge for once. Nova gets his powers when Xandar is destroyed, and all the power of the Nova Corps goes to the last Centurion, which is him, and he inherits the world mind, and his job is to preserve the history of Xandar and the Nova Corps. And he becomes like a space vigilante in a sense, where he, like the world mind who can calculate the outcome of any decision, is telling him like, you can't save this person. And he's just like, yes, I can. And sometimes it's not for the best that he tries, but he does try. And I just love Nova. And I think that the Xandar was destroyed ahead of Infinity War. The stage has been set for Richard Rider to be there. Roman Day, who is the character who recruited Nova in the first place in the comics, John C. Reilly already played him, so the history is there. You can put Thanos in a trailer if you're worried about this character selling tickets. Like, destroy Xandar in the first scene. I'm begging you, destroy Xandar in the first scene. My two favorite characters, Thanos and Nova. Put them together. I'm begging you. Anyway, so yes, I'm excited. I am excited. Oh gosh. So that's Nova's history. It's already been, the stage has been set, and now we can move on. I had my rant. We have another rant, and we're today's show is about to be chaos.
Get ready, because your girl's got a lot of things to say about this next upcoming topic, and it is about the Academy Awards. The most controversial thing to happen at this Oscars, no question about it, was when the Snyder Cut Speed Force scene beat Avengers Endgame as the most cheer-worthy moment. Now, there are 3 reasons why I find this appalling. First of all, when they did this countdown and revealed that the Speed Force was the winner, the Oscars did not make it clear that this was a Twitter-voted event. So my phone is blowing up of people being like, what the hell? This is nonsense. My boyfriend literally got up and walked out of our hotel room as a bit because he was so upset. And so I tweeted my a shocked reaction because I also forgot it was Twitter related. And then I followed it up with never let Twitter decide anything again. And I stand by that. Now, here's the thing. Setting aside the fact that obviously the Avengers Endgame, Avengers Assemble moment is more cheerworthy. I mean, I'm not saying the Speed Force moment wasn't cool. Come on. I'm not crazy. I'm just saying, if you counted up every single person in their home who probably cheered out loud, I don't think you could fill a theater that cheered for Avengers Endgame. But my other problem with this is that, I tweeted about this and the Snyder fans came for me. I didn't read a lot of comments because I don't think that's good for one's mental health. But I did see a couple slip through and said, well, why didn't you vote? Because I don't care, first of all. I'm having fun ranting about this, but I don't really care. I care more about something else, which I'll get to in a second. But here's the thing. If I really did care and I was trying, I think that it has been proven time and time again that Snyder fans are the loudest people on the internet. And good for them. It has worked in their favor. Look at all the things they've accomplished. I am not going to ever talk down on what has been accomplished by being loud about being a Snyder fan on the internet. We've got a whole movie made, and that's amazing. But here's and if you really believe in your heart of hearts that the Speed Force scene is a more cheer-worthy moment than the event, if you believe that truly, then I'm not going to judge you because that's what you believe, and I think that's beautiful. But here's what it really all comes down to. This is the Oscars. This is not the People's Choice Awards. This is not the MTV Movie Awards. They cut some huge moments from the Oscars. We didn't get to see Samuel L. Jackson, Elaine May earn their Lifetime Achievement Awards, but instead we take time on a Twitter countdown? That is not... Listen, I shouldn't care about the Oscars as much as I do. They're an award show. I know they're not really important, but I've been watching them religiously since I was 10 years old, and I've been watching every nominated movie since I was 14 years old. I care about this stupid nonsense, and involving Twitter is an embarrassment to cinema, and I am sorry that I got so upset about it, and I'm sorry that this is where we're at, and I'm sorry that Army of the Dead is considered the fan favorite movie of the year, and that is my rant, and try not to come too hard for me. I love you all, I respect you all, but I think we can all agree on this podcast that the Avengers Endgame Assembles moment is the greatest cheerworthy moment in the history of fun time movie watching. And that's my rant. Thank you. Does anyone else have anything to say?
Richard.
Wow.
Richard.
Wow.
Clip that.
Oh my God. Wow.
Clip that and put the back-to-back freestyle in the background. And then halfway through, switch it to Shook Ones.
Now
Please.
I know how everyone felt when I was ranting about the Marvel creators not getting paid in that lawsuit. Now I understand how everyone felt listening to that. That was
something that really matters.
This is about to be our first big podcast breakout on the new Phase Zero channel. But I mean, Jamie, I think you made so many good points. God dang! I was actually going to point out. I agree with you. I saw a viral tweet this morning about Riz Ahmed getting his Oscar for the live action short film, and it wasn't broadcast live. It's disappointing. And this came from somebody who said it means so much to be able to see myself on a platform like that, and it deserved a much better announcement. His words were so inspirational, and we didn't see it. I totally agree with that. I didn't even watch the Oscars. I was watching Spirited Away. I flipped to the Oscars when Will Smith slapped Chris Rock, and I was like, I can't miss this. What's going on? I got to be a part of the conversation. But it is crazy. I agree. Avengers Endgame is the big cheerworthy moment, but I think that there was 2 Marvel films that were nominated, and that split the vote of Marvel fans versus very, very, very loud Snyder fans. And I think there are a lot of people in the Snyder community who give the entire Snyder community a bad name. There's a lot of people in the Snyder community that are some of the most gracious, thoughtful people I've ever spoken to, and they've done a lot for suicide prevention and different causes, and I have a ton of respect for what they've done. Like Jamie said, they got Zack Snyder's Justice League release. They've raised a ton of money, but there's also a few bees in that hive that when you shake that nest, they say terrible, terrible things to you, and that gets plastered across all of them. So I just wanted to say on Phase Zero, we are not. I want to clarify. We're not saying everybody in that group is terrible. There's bad apples in the Marvel bunch.
I just said they were loud.
Yeah,
no, they're definitely. I know. I have encountered it as well. But I agree with you. I think that the vote was split among Marvel fans and Snyder fans went in on the vote, and they won it. And Army of the Dead also, I like that movie a lot. I don't even know what the other options were, but it is interesting that good for the Snyder fans, whatever. But yeah, Jamie made some points. Yeah,
it's less about Snyder and Marvel and more about the fact that this is the Academy Awards.
Mm-hmm. I'm conflicted because I simultaneously want them to never run this poll ever again. Like, I think this was such a weird social experiment, but I'm also like, can y'all just run this every year so that like Morbius or something absurd can win it next year? Like, we can get to this point where like 5 or 10 years from now, it's like the weirdest possible franchise thing wins like best cheer-worthy moment or best fan film. Like, it's so stupid, but it almost like is weirdly fascinating at the same time. Like having this poll the way that it is.
Jenna has created the best Wikipedia entry for the Marvel, for like the Oscar subgenre you could ever see. Because you'd be like, what happened? Why are all these movies? There's no through line at all.
Yeah.
So that would be funny.
I saw a horrifying tweet that was like, the cheer-worthy moment was not limited to 2021 movies. So technically, if they do this every year, the Speed Force scene could win every year until the end of time.
It's what we deserve.
Yeah,
it's what we deserve.
That's fair. I can't deny that.
This is also frustrating because that Speed Force moment was dope. I'm a fan of Zack Snyder's Justice League. I very much like that film. And that moment, like, I watched that movie. I'll tell you the truth. Eleanor and I started watching that movie because I was going to do interviews for it. We started it at like 11 p.m. And we were like, let's watch the first 2 hours now. We'll watch the next 2 hours then. And we watched till 3 a.m. because we were genuinely enjoying it. And the way I sat up in my bed, it was like, oh, he's going to do the thing. It was awesome. But it also, like, the Avengers Endgame moment was years and years of earning it and referencing it. Unsurprisingly, we're a Marvel show. We pick the Marvel thing. But that's not a jab at Snyder's work. I think the Speed Force moment was epic and awesome. I think the Hammer moment and the Portals moment were just it's going to be hard to ever match that. Well, who knows? I know. I just pissed off the hive.
I think we did a very good job of being diplomatic.
Absolutely.
If anyone's coming for anybody, I think old James is getting it rough today.
We will defend Jamie's honor at all costs.
Absolutely.
At all costs. All right, let's move on. So you mentioned Morbius. Well,
Yep.
Oh man. Okay. So I was at a wedding rehearsal dinner and I opened my phone.
This is how all the best Marvel news stories start.
I just opened my phone and I looked out. I'm like, what is happening? First of all, thank you all for hopping on for Spider-Man No Way Home watch party with BD and all of us on Friday. There was a lot of fun. It was delightful. And then at the exact same time, if you saunter on down the trending tab of Twitter, you have Morbius director Dan Espinosa just dropping spoiler bombs all up and down the Sony accounts while other Sony content is going on, because we actually had the No Way Home accounts and the Sony accounts tweeting along with us too. So I'm like, the time streams are broken. We know that from No Way Home, but we didn't realize how broken they were going to be. No, we are not going to talk about those spoilers on the show. There are spoilers out there for the post-credit scene. There are major story beats left out there in the open. He's explaining stuff that you had, like, that we talked about last week of the podcast. That's a plug. Go listen to the last episode of the podcast. Like, there's all sorts of weird stuff that this man just let fly, and no one can figure out exactly why he was doing this exactly. I have someone who I'm friends with who is close to the project who was like, why is he doing this? Why is he doing this?
Wow.
Why? So I don't know what's going on over there. BD doesn't know what timeline or what universe Morbius takes place in. Most of the other reviewers don't know either. The embargo drops later. Is it later today?
It's today. We're allowed to share reactions.
What are the pre-sale tickets? Do we know?
I have no
I
idea.
saw it today. I saw they were tracking for 33 million, I think, and some estimates have it up as high as 40 to 45. I don't think it's gonna do that 40 to 45, but who knows? I mean, it is still a Marvel movie. Jared Leto is he's got a fan base, he's got an audience. Also, I didn't know Jared Leto was 50 years old. I looked at that. If I look as good as Jared Leto looks when I'm 50.
I may not be a big Leto fan, but I'm not going to deny the man.
You see Morbius. He's got a couple shirtless scenes. I'm like, damn, bro. I made sure to have less than 2,000 calories yesterday, and I'm 20 years younger than you, and I still can't get like that. But Morbius is I'll just the reviews and reactions are tonight. So just be on Twitter.
Yeah, I started to gaslight myself of like, did this movie already come out somewhere internationally, and that's why he's doing this Twitter like thread that is straight up like I had to double check of like, is it out in like other countries, and that's why we're doing this? And it's like, no, it is still not out for another week, but you can go on this thread that can just be retweeted onto your feed unprompted and have everything from this movie spoiled for you, like with no actual context because nobody's seen it. So it was like, this is just the most baffling thing. It's like the meme of like, well, you can't spoil, like your movie can't be spoiled if you spoil it first. But it's like, I don't understand it. Like it is the weirdest possible decision by far.
I didn't see any of these spoilers, and I'm like, but if I did, I don't think I would have any care.
We need to make the Chris Rock Will Smith meme, and Chris Rock is going into Morbius spoiler free. Will Smith is Morbius director Daniel Espinosa on Twitter. Oh my god! But yeah, it's crazy that those spoilers are out. That I've never seen. I don't know. Sony had a tremendously successful marketing campaign through accidentally leaking images from the trailer. So maybe, honestly, if Sony is leaking stuff on purpose, Publicist of the Year award goes to Sony. Marketing Team of the Year. Actually, shout out to Marshall Weinbaum, Disney's publicist, who won Publicist of the Year and coordinates a lot of our interviews and has really helped Phase Zero grow tremendously. Marshall Weinbaum won Publicist of the Year. Super happy for Marshall. Always one of the most honest and helpful guys we've worked with. And I've been working with him for 7 years, and I'm happy for him. So I want to shout that out. That was actually not planned part of the show. But also, if Sony is leaking this stuff on purpose and generating millions of dollars, their marketing team deserves a raise. The same Jamie deserves a raise for that brilliant rant earlier.
I can't wait for it to progress and like suddenly the entire Madam Web script is online like before filming even starts. Like it's just like, how much further do you go with leaking things before they can even come out at this point?
This is the first movie I've ever seen that there are nerd breakdowns of the movie before the movie hits street date. Like, and there's like full like 9-minute, 10-minute YouTube videos you can go watch right now that people are breaking down the post-credit scenes and stuff. And I'm sitting there like, how did we get here? 2022 so weird.
Oh man! All right, we have so many more topics to talk about before we even get to Moon Knight.
This is a long show today.
I know. This is a chunky one. So speaking of the internet and weird things that people didn't expect to see, Marvel is changing the Disney Plus shows again. We had one with WandaVision. We had that little flicker of light that might have been Doctor Strange's cape. It might have been a ghost. It's like, who knows at this point. It started surfacing the other day. And I don't know how you pick up on this. Like, I applaud the person who is rewatching The Falcon and the Winter Soldier and deliberately looking for this and then realizing it's happening. But so in the episode of The Falcon and Winter Soldier where they go to Madripoor and there's the scientist that they are dealing with, he gets shot by Zemo, and in the original cut there's blood coming out of his mouth and he's impaled. In the new version, that stuff's edited out. It's just not there, and it's much less gruesome than it originally was. This is just the weirdest thing ever. This is why physical media still needs to exist, because the fact that they can keep consistently doing this and like a lot, for the most part we don't necessarily notice, is just a very weird thing. It's also like you have all of the Defenders shows on your streaming service now. You have Punisher on your streaming service now, and yet this one bit in Falcon and Winter Soldier is a little too much for you. And like Moon Knight today, as we will talk about, does not shy away from violence. So it is just the most baffling decision, especially this month with everything else. What do y'all think about it?
It's so weird because it's not like this was a Marvel movie that they added. It's a show they made for Disney Plus. They knew when they were filming that man's bloody face where it was going. It's so Brandon's pulling at me It just doesn't make any sense. And but I 100%, that's the thing. Give us the physical media then. If you're worried about this kind of stuff, let us buy it, because I'm pretty sure all of us here would be buying that stuff if it was available. And it just kind of is icky. It's like a weird form of like censorship that doesn't. It's just like they're doing it on the sly. What else have they changed that we didn't notice?
That's the thing I'm wondering is, like, they did this to the WandaVision post-credit scene already, and then we all were like, is that Doctor Strange floating down from the mountain? But it's just like, I think this shit is whack. And I used our one swear word of the day because censorship is
Well, and like my boyfriend pointed out this morning, at least with like the Star Wars movies, like when George Lucas went in and edited them and changed them, you could still find the originals. Like he was not going into your home and preventing you from accessing the originals as they were. So it's like the fact that now the only way, unless you go on some sort of third-party website, the only way you can watch this episode is in the now edited version, is just such a weird precedent to set.
It's like, why? That's why genuinely why. Like, and if they edit the blood off the Captain America shield at one point, I'm gonna be pissed, because that's such a great. But that photo's everywhere. Like, you can't even take that back. But this is just moments that people are catching. Like really make sure. Are they changing other stuff? Probably.
I mean, it reminds my favorite. Swing away. They're weak to water. I think that it reminds me of this old Simpsons bit where I think Lisa's trying to watch Bambi and Marge doesn't want her to watch it, and she eats the tape. She like really eats the VHS so she won't see like the mom deer dying. It's very strange because like I think I hadn't even thought about that, Jamie. They filmed this for the platform. I could see you, even if it's whack and stupid, that you're going to edit a butt out of Splash. Like, that was a really old movie. Like, okay. Or like, Adventures in Babysitting has some editing that's happened to it. Like, someone needs to go on. And there's an amazing, I don't know, I can't tell you like the URL to this, but someone like cataloged all the differences between like the pilot premiere of like Tailspin back in like the early 90s. And apparently there was like gunfire and other stuff in it. And then every repeat airing of it has it edited out. So the place, like this company has a long history of, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and edit that out. The kids, it's too much pirate adventure for these children. It's too much.
It makes me feel crazy. Like Jenna brought up Star Wars. I remember when I was young and I bought the DVDs and I put in Return of the Jedi and Hayden Christensen showed up and I was like, and I remember felt so insane that I took out my VHS and put the VHS in to switch back and forth to make sure that like my brain wasn't broken. I'll never forget that. I was like 12 and I'm like, what happened to me?
It's one thing to like edit out Gene's guy.
Yeah.
On
Jeez,
Mandalorian.
Guy.
God.
Where's he getting Disney Plus series? Dang it.
Yeah.
Jeez, guy.
Anyway, all right, we got to keep moving. My laptop's dying, so I need the 1 minute break so I can get the charger. Andrew Garfield talking about this. We got some quick hitter news here. I don't think we've had some good discussions. This is one of my favorite shows we've ever done already, and we're not even halfway through it. Andrew Garfield talking about the Amazing Spider-Man 3 at the Oscars, which also there's an adorable photo of or video of Andrew Garfield finding Zendaya and catching her for a selfie. And he is asked about the Amazing Spider-Man 3 by THR, and he said, "No update from me. No one's going to believe anything I say ever again. That's my problem." You're right. The Amazing Spider-Man 3 confirmed. We don't believe you. I think we're going to do this. I shouldn't even. If I relate these two things, it'll seem like a spoiler.
Oh no!
And I've already said too much about something that isn't even going to happen. But is it or is it not? I'm just confusing you now on purpose. So, yeah, Amazing Spider-Man 3 confirmed. Andrew Garfield told THR at the Oscars. So, I think it's inevitable, and I very much think it's going to happen. And I very much think that by this time next week, we will, or maybe on Friday, we'll be talking about where we think this is all going to go. So, yeah, we'll move on. Guardians.
Jamie.
Oh, is that me? Sorry, I'm just like, so much is happening, you guys. Oh my God. Okay, so James Gunn has teased on Twitter that the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special is going to introduce multiple new MCU characters, which is very exciting. There's lots to speculate. I feel like Santa's a given. If Santa's not in this, what's the point? That seems insane. BD was like Nova maybe. And you know what's the thing about the holiday special is that I'm so jazzed about is they could really introduce some big characters. And I've mentioned this in the podcast before, but it's really worth remembering that Boba Fett was introduced in the Star Wars holiday special. Boba Fett, a character so iconic, he still is getting TV shows and stuff. So I'm really jazzed. Who would you like to see like wild card show up in this holiday special? Is there anybody?
I mean, it feels expected, but like if they don't kind of lean into the Jesus metaphor of Adam Warlock, then like that is a missed opportunity, because it feels like with the holiday special, with like the Christmas iconography, you can totally play up Adam Warlock that way. And it feels very akin to Boba Fett of like, hey, his first cameo appearance is in the holiday special. His first full appearance is in volume 3. And then we just kind of go from there. But yeah, Santa has to be in this. If Mark Hamill is not playing Santa in the holiday special, I will be genuinely surprised, because that feels so perfect on so many levels.
I mean, I feel like Jenna just took what I was gonna say about like Santa and Mark Hamill. Like it pretty much, it would be hysterical if he had like a recurring role instead of just this one-off thing where it's like, nah, man, we gotta do some stuff. Santa's in the Midnight Suns. That's what I'm saying.
We also need to acknowledge that our own Jim Viscardi tweeted at Gunn and asked if the Viscardis, the race of aliens that are named after him in the comics, are going to make their MCU debut. And Gunn liked that tweet. So in his mind, that is confirmed.
Jim,
if Jim gets an alien race named after him in the MCU, I will literally quit.
Great. Guess who's the new host of Phase Zero?
Yeah.
I will. I'm jumping ship. I'm not even going to DC. I'm just going straight to Halo. Like I'm sticking my teeth into Halo. I want to see Nova, but I think there's what if they introduce Adam Warlock in the holiday special? So we'll see. I think we're going to see Santa Claus. Mark Hamill has to be there as Santa. Who else? Come on. Sorry, I missed part of that conversation because I was getting my computer plugged in.
Good job.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Good job. He didn't preemptively quit. Ryan Reynolds is teasing Blind Owl's return in Deadpool 3. He tweeted or posted a thank you to Leslie Uggams about see you soon. And that I really enjoy her in those movies. Like it's going to be a riot. It really feels like they're going to find some way to really recapture the magic from the first two here and like the Marvel realm, which is basically what everybody's worried about. Like the anxiety level about, well, can you really do this or that? And Marvel seems to be an enduring like cloud over all of these projects, including Moon Knight, which we'll get to in just a second. But yeah, I'm excited to see those two together and hopefully no more weird baby hands.
Oh God. Yeah, I completely agree.
Imagine how they'll edit that for Disney Plus.
Oh. Please just go.
How long until they put like the PG cut of Deadpool, like that one that they re-released for Christmas? How long until they put that on Disney Plus? Just to see what happens. I feel like yeah.
I want to walk down Main Street in Disney World and see Deadpool merch. I think that would be hilarious.
Amazing. That would be
like
so
Deadpool next to Snow White.
Just go to every Comic-Con ever and you just see that. You just see 30 Deadpools in places that they shouldn't be.
Deadpool ears. I like that comment. Refiner Dairy. They had the Scarlet Witch ears. I don't know if those were real. I saw them on Twitter. I saw people were trying to buy the Scarlet Witch ears. Those look sick.
Me and Jamie talked about that for 30 minutes yesterday.
Oh, those are legit. Oh, I thought she.
Well, these are Etsy ones. These are not
nice.
These are, but like they look very similar to these. But these are from Etsy.
Those are awesome.
Nice. Yeah, no, Evans Larson's no Deadpool is not on Disney. Wait, I don't have Deadpool on Disney Plus. Do you guys?
No,
man.
But I was just saying, like, it would be interesting if it eventually showed up on there. It might be internationally. People have like the star.
It is overseas, says Damon Streams.
There we go.
Wow.
Here we are in America, where we get episodes at 3 a.m. and no Deadpool.
Yep.
All right, one more topic, then we got to take a quick break.
Our last piece of news for the day is that Ryan Coogler, director of Black Panther and Black Panther Wakanda Forever, is involved with the Ironheart Disney Plus show. Anthony Ramos, who has been cast in Ironheart and who is probably playing the Hood until I am convinced otherwise, said to Extra it's incredible people, Shanaka Hodge, Ryan Coogler, and just like a dope squad, you know, Dominique Thorne. I just feel very blessed and grateful. This totally makes sense for me because like he's helping introduce Riri into the MCU, so I'm like not surprised at all. I totally expect this to be like an executive producer credit, but if he's actually involved in kind of a hands-on capacity, that is also going to be kind of cool too, because I feel like Ironheart is going to be a show that is going to be really special, and like people have no idea of that at that point. So having Coogler involved will be very cool. What do y'all think?
I think it's smart. I think like Marvel has these they're kind of developing these people who become kind of figureheads in different factions or like pockets of the MCU. Like James Gunn seemed to be like the cosmic guy. Taika is clearly like over Thor stuff. Ryan Coogler seems to be attached to Wakanda stuff. And with Riri being introduced in Wakanda Forever, that makes sense for him to be like there seems to be subsects of characters who are kind of going to be more tied together than than they will with other characters, and like all of it ends up going through Feige, but it seems like it all kind of like goes here and then up to Feige. So I think it's smart. Like I think Coogler knows what he's doing. He has a deep passion for these characters, and he's introducing her. Why not keep him involved?
I just worried about his sleep schedule.
Yeah,
A lot of stuff going on, man.
I constantly think about how much this man like had to like rewrite a whole movie, and it's just like give him something to do that's easy.
I know. Oh my gosh.
And Brandon Moore pointed out Destin Daniel Cretton is overseeing the Shang-Chi projects.
That's right.
So
yeah.
Wow. So everybody's busy.
Everybody's busy. You get in with Marvel. You're employed. For why did you do a good job? You're employed.
It's the Simpsons meme of like, don't forget you're here forever.
Unless you're Kenneth Branagh.
Oh, that's a strike.
Wow.
But even he
Oscar.
He wants to come back.
He did have that cameo, and
he had a little voice cameo.
Right.
So that man got the bag for sending a Mayday to open Infinity War. But yeah, all right. We're going to take a real quick break here. We're going to come back. Full spoilers for Moon Knight in the second half or fourth quarter of the show. We'll see y'all in a minute. Welcome back to Phase Zero, Season 2, Episode 12. This is where the spoilers begin. We're talking about Moon Knight, Episode 1. The drought is over. We have new content. It's been such a long 2022, but we're here. Thank the Egyptian gods for getting us to this point. We're going to go around. I've shared my reactions kind of vaguely on Twitter, spoiler-free. I will save myself for last here so I don't take up all the time and hog all the words. Aaron, you're at the top of the screen. What did you think of Episode 1 of Moon Knight?
It's so very, very different from anything that's come before. They had said that the beginning opening shot was very, very different, and then when I booted it up, I was like, "Well, no, I guess okay, you weren't lying. All right, sounds good. I'm hooked in now." Like chancletas with glass in them does not seem like a winning strategy, but he is terrifying. I love Oscar Isaac. He is they just let him go. And with some of the talent they let in the MCU, sometimes you're like, could you just let them go ahead and be themselves? And it's like they took the knob and cranked it to 12 and broke it off, like, yep, and just keep it there. And it's completely sustained by his energy and his performance. So I love the beginning of this. It's really, really fun.
I'm with you. Jamie, what'd you think?
Oh man, so great. And I want to preface by saying that I'm the only person here that has not seen all 4 episodes from the screeners. I just got the screeners yesterday. So I messaged BD and I was like, it's silly for me to watch these all today. Why not let me be the one person who takes this journey with our audience? So I don't know what is going on, and I love that. I'm so happy I get to experience this week to week, because without having much Moon Knight knowledge, I am just deep in this ride of like, what the heck? My Moon Knight knowledge extends to the trailers for this television show. So I am loving how bonkers crazy this is. And I mean, as we all are, because we're like human beings. I'm such a big Oscar Isaac fan. He's such a good actor. Inside Llewyn Davis is like a top 3 Coen Brothers movie for me. And I'm obviously a big Star Wars sequel fan. And so I knew he was going to crush this show, but I still was like blown away by this man's performance. Because he's being goofy and he's being scary and he's just across the board. And I think this might be my favorite MCU performance since Elizabeth Olsen dominated WandaVision. Is it better than that? Come on, I'm not insane. But I'm blown away by Oscar Isaac in this show, and I cannot wait to see where it goes.
His English accent is almost as good as mine. Jenna, what'd you think?
People were placing bets before we started of how long it would take for you to slip into the accent. So I think so many people are losing because you haven't done it yet.
Well, I did an Andrew Garfield quote, and I was like, no, I reserve these for Tom Holland.
Good idea. I loved this episode. Like, even just rewatching it again this morning, like there are so many little just jokes and lines that just are like so much fun to watch. Oscar just sells this show so wholeheartedly. I could not imagine anybody else in this role and having this show work to the degree that it does. Like the level of commitment and just fun that he seems to be having is just on a whole other level. I had like alluded to it last week, but the shot of him eating chocolates like hunched over, just like with the fish tank in the foreground, is like such a mood. Like I am so excited to use that as like a GIF all the time. I think this is just such an interesting character, like introduction in so many different ways, and to a degree that we haven't really had in the MCU in a while. Like we've had characters be introduced in this very traditional 3-act structure of a movie, and getting to really kind of sit and linger in Stephen Grant and then later Mark Spector is just like so much fun, and I feel like people are really going to resonate with this character so much.
Yeah, Aaron, what'd you think?
Man, I like. There's so many funny, weird little things that people might, because I saw some of the reviews saying that it starts kind of slow or whatever. I don't know if we were watching the same show, but there are things in episode 1 that you're going to come back to with new eyes when you watch the rest of it. Because watch this again, I was like, wow, it's really well crafted. I saw somebody in the comments going Laters Gators and stuff like that. It's funny because like Steven's such a weird little, he's so different from most other protagonists in this universe. You know what I mean? They all have a sort of weird like hyper competency to them before they even get their powers or whatever happens to them. That it's like, yeah, he's just kind of a doof running around and getting insulted by multiple people in his life all the time. I feel bad.
The worm. He got called a worm.
Oh my God, I love Contra so much.
Contra's funny, man. Contra's got that dry, savage humor.
So good.
I didn't mean to cut you off, though. I just had to.
If it's for him getting called a worm, it's worth it.
Yeah.
I echo everything the three of you just said. I thought it was brilliant. I think Oscar Isaac's work is great. I think Ethan Hawke does just a really great job as Arthur Harrow. I want to explain, later in a bit who Arthur Harrow is from comics, who the Sun King is, who he seems to be also emulating, because I know a lot of our listeners come to us for that sort of stuff, and we have a good crash course on all that. But yeah, I thought the fact that I love the way that it just flipped perspective and the action sequences like got skipped basically because to keep the perspective and the confusion of the mystery. As somebody as all of us know, Moon Knight has the multiple personality situation going on. Like we know what happened when he's driving and all of a sudden cut and now he's driving backwards and everybody's dead. Like we know what happened. I would love to see what that experience is like to somebody who genuinely doesn't know Moon Knight, because those people exist. I would argue the majority of the people watching this don't know what happened there. They're just like, what is going on? This is a crazy mystery. And I think it's a really cool way that they told that story. I also, Mohamed Diab, who directed this, that last scene, I'm a filmmaking nerd. you all know I've talked about. I made a short film. Like I think making movies is one of the coolest, most fun things you could do, and being creative in that way is super cool. I tried to think about how did this man create this continuous shot where Stephen Grant and Mark Spector are talking to each other in the bathroom, in the mirrors. And it never cuts. Like if you guys watch it, like a lot of that is just the camera moving around Oscar Isaac, and there's a mirror there, there's a mirror there, there's a mirror behind him, and like I can't fathom how they did that. It was so well done. I wanted to give him credit for that. Mohammed Diab directs episodes 1, 3, 5, and 6, and he does a brilliant job. And I wanted to talk about that. And the last thing I want to talk about is that I'm so glad we got a fully formed hero in the first episode instead of the Disney Plus trope of saving it for the end. We got Moon Knight. We got enough of Moon Knight. We're going to see more of Moon Knight. I promise you. Episode 2 starts with Moon Knight, but we saw him right out of the gate. We're not just, okay, well, there's this guy who you might see eventually down the road, and then you got to see him in the last episode. We got him right away. Jamie's got thoughts.
I've talked about this a lot where I'm not a big fan of origin stories. There's very few origin movies that I'm really into. And the fact that it like started, like he's already chaining himself to a bed, even if he doesn't quite understand what's happening, it's already happening. We're not seeing whatever came before. And I love that because it's weird and fun and confusing and mysterious. And it's not just answering question after question immediately, because I think that's kind of boring. So I'm loving the direction they chose to take with that.
All right, we have one more person who needs to share their spoiler-filled reaction coming over my shoulder now. You may know him. It's Moon Knight Viscardi.
Let's go! I can't hear anybody, but I just need to very quickly just say, one, Gus stands unite. Let's go. We love you, Gus. We love you. And
the most confusing marketing tweet of all time.
I love that poster.
But two, I know every single person watching that first episode literally threw a fist or punched the air in those like last 5 to 10 seconds of the episode. Like when you see that jackal crawling, like trying to scratch its way out of the door, that literally was the moment where I said, "Oh, yeah, let's go." But I'm so excited.
Nobody's even saying anything. Just so you know, you're not missing. Everybody is blown away by your enthusiasm. I want you to know that.
Perfect. I mean, it's been one of the look. I will be back for next week, and we will talk all Moon Knight. But I have been waiting so long to be able to talk about this show, having seen it. Like it was Brandon and I were talking earlier. I almost feel like cursed in a sense that knowing that what we have seen already and having to wait till we get to not knowing anything, but then also being able to just like enjoy this ride with the fans. Look, no one knew who Moon Knight was 3 years ago. No one cared about who Moon Knight was. A literal meme of throwing random ish and going after Dracula for his money. Okay. Now everyone, like, he has an avatar on Disney Plus. You can literally go to Disney Plus right now and make your avatar Moon Knight.
And you did that, Jim.
I did that immediately. That was all me. That was all me. I take all the credit for it. Look, I'm wearing my Good Night Moon Knight shirt.
Earlier today, I took credit for Nova. So
perfect. Yeah, I mean, look, this is the thing. It's the craziest idea that here we are in 2022. The MCU has existed for as long as it has, and we have Moon Knight of all characters. So now the campaign for the Sentry starts, and you heard it here first.
Who's playing Sentry?
I mean, I don't know. Ryan Hurst said he wants to do it, so give it to Ryan Hurst.
You gotta get a big fella in there. All right.
I'm out of here. I'll see you all next week. I love you all.
Bye,
Jim popped in like he was like announcing a wrestling match.
I know.
Like he was
like he came in like a wrestling announcer, and they loved it.
I love that shirt also. That is the most amazing shirt.
It's a good shirt. We couldn't do this without getting some Jim content on the show.
No.
All right. So we only have a few minutes left in the show. A couple Easter eggs I want to run through really quickly, and then I want to hear from all of you. A couple comic things. I want to start with comic things. The biggest change from the comics is Stephen Grant. Stephen Grant in the comics is a billionaire. He's a businessman. He's involved in movies. And in this show, works in a gift shop, is not rich. I believe that is because Stephen Grant is a billionaire funding Moon Knight's adventures and activities in the show would be too similar to Batman. And I think that's pretty clear that they changed that for that reason, having like an alter ego that pays for everything versus the vigilante who fights crime at night would very much be Bruce Wayne and Batman. So they changed it, and it works. I don't really care. I've said on the show, I'm not a comics purist. There are things from the comics you have to get right. They got the costume right. They got they did a lot of stuff right. I'm okay with that change. In the phone, in the phone that's this episode, right? Where he finds the phone. That's the first episode.
Yes.
Okay, first episode, he finds the phone and he scrolls through. It's a bunch of calls from Layla. Layla's kept calling Oscar Isaac. No surprise there. I don't know why they put her name with a Y. The 32, number 32 on the call log it said Duchamp, not Duchamp, not Machamp, Duchamp, which is Jean-Paul Duchamp. Jean-Paul Duchamp is Frenchie in the comics. That is a friend to Moon Knight who is there basically when Moon Knight gets his powers. He is there in Egypt when Mark Spector turns on Bushman, or is it Bushman? I don't know how to pronounce that one, is it? But he turns on him, and like because they want to execute somebody. Mark Spector doesn't want to. He gets left for dead by the person who hired him as a mercenary. He ends up getting the powers of Khonshu, which bring him back to life. And then Duchamp is the one who's there. Frenchie becomes his pilot and his buddy and the one person he really can trust. So I do think that we're going to see Jean-Paul Duchamp in the show. I think that'll be cool. I don't know who's going to play him, but that's a cool nod that's there. And also, there are more personalities than Mark and Steven in the comics. There is Jake Lockley, a cab driver who's basically the informant, the man on the ground who gets kind of like the sources from the criminal underworld and all kinds of different information for Mark and Steven to act accordingly. Somebody asked that coworker on a date, and it certainly wasn't Stephen Grant, and you can only assume it wasn't Mark Spector because he doesn't have an English accent and she would notice the difference. Jake Lockley, is that you? Are we going to get our cabbie? I don't know. We'll see. And I think the goldfish thing, maybe that's a reference to having a short memory. I think I ended up just trailing off there. My only other points here are about the Ennead. The Ennead, which is an Egyptian mythology about 9 gods. I did some research on that. There are different versions of which 9 gods make it up. But in the show, we have. Let me pull up I wrote down which 9 gods they were. It was Horus. It was Osiris. It was Jeb. It was Shu. I need to pull up my notes here about who the other ones were, but there were 2 missing, which is what Arthur. Who's Arthur? Oh, that's Ethan Hawke's character. Horus, Osiris, Tefnut, Jeb, Shu, Hathor, and there's a reference to Taweret, the hippo god, who we know has been cast for this show in merch in the gift shop, but there are 2 missing, which Stephen points out, which makes me think Khonshu and Amit are going to be part of the story, or maybe they killed some people. Also, Gore the God Butcher is on the way in Thor Love and Thunder. Some gods have to get killed. Maybe Gore is killing people. But that is also something that pulls in Egyptian mythology. And I want to also dive into Arthur Harrow / Sun King. I'm sorry that I'm taking all the airtime here, but I'm excited to have some comics knowledge to share with everybody. Arthur Harrow in comics is a scientist. He gets a Nobel Prize nomination for his work in pain theory, which I thought is cool. And that was referenced right out of the gate with the glass in his shoes. I'm like, all right, this man enjoys pain. He avoids pleasure, all this stuff. So, where his story becomes one where he says he's experimenting on animals. It turns out he was experimenting on people in Auschwitz. So another Dr. Grail, this woman, Victoria Grail, discovers that he's a bad person, tries to put a stop to him. She ends up getting kidnapped. Moon Knight saves her. They work together to stop Dr. Arthur Harrow, who's just a bad scientist, who's a bad person, very, very bad, terrible person. And they end up working together to stop him. But it also seems like he's emulating Sun King, who's also known as Patient 86 in the comics. He was in a mental health institution in Ravencroft. He had the same doctor as Mark Spector did, Dr. Emmett. So they had that's kind of a pullback to comics. Sun King is a character who amasses a cult-like following, and just he's a bad guy. So it seems like they're kind of merging these 2 characters together, Arthur Harrow and Sun King, who are different people. And it's interesting that because, like I said, we've seen this before in Marvel. I have any more notes here? I'm just making sure. Okay. All right. No, I think that's all there. And we're going to have a video later on the brand new Phase Zero YouTube channel, which I hope you're watching us live on. Breaking this all down really concisely and in a much more organized fashion. This is the rambled version. And now I'm done. Jenna, Jamie, Aaron, the floor is yours. I'm retired.
I will say to your thing about Stephen Grant, like I tweeted about this earlier this morning, it feels very similar to how Peacemaker adapted Vigilante. Of like, if you look in the comics, Adrian Chase is a completely different person. He is not as like jokey and kind of like happy-go-lucky and twisted as like Vigilante is portrayed on the show. But it is such a strong characterization and it's portrayed so well that you can kind of like let that slide. So I feel like Stephen Grant is a very similar thing. Like I'm sure there are a handful of people who are like, I'm sad he's not the Batman-esque billionaire that he is in the comics. But like Oscar plays it so well that like you can kind of let that slide.
I agree.
Everyone is just silent.
Nope. Everybody's like,
I get put on the big screen like I have big thoughts to add.
Richard said, Jamie, you're up.
Yep.
Adrian Chase, Peacemaker was so good. I wish we could have talked. I could have had more of a platform to talk about Peacemaker.
I know.
But we're a Marvel show. Peacemaker was great. It's honestly, I think Peacemaker is still, depending on 5 and 6 of Moon Knight, Peacemaker still is my favorite show of the year so far. I've only watched like 2, so whatever. But we'll see if that holds up by the end of the year. But this Moon Knight's first episode was my favorite first episode of any of the Disney Plus shows. I think that the second place for me is Loki. Falcon Winter Soldier, a pretty good one. WandaVision's first episode alone, it's not nearly the highest ranking episode of WandaVision for me. I thought it was good, but it was so confusing. And if you don't watch 2 and 3 with it, I think you're left pretty like, what's going on here? And What If, definitely not. And what else was there? Hawkeye had a good first episode, but yeah, Moon Knight definitely is my number one in terms of premieres. I think I had the best first episode, and I do think that if 5 and 6 keep up the quality that 1 through 4 had, there is a chance that Moon Knight ends up being my favorite, what I would say is the best show from the Marvel Studios shows so far. And I know that's going to be controversial because WandaVision is so good. Loki is brilliant. Both of those two go neck and neck, and it depends what side of the bed I wake up on. More often than not, I put WandaVision up there. But I think Moon Knight has a chance. Maybe it's recency bias, and we'll have to let this one digest until the end of the year to think about it, but we'll see.
I think organically, they're just getting better at doing this, right?
Absolutely.
Like their first couple, they're like doing it and never have made TV before. And like you have to sort of get a feel for the format and stuff. Like there is something to be said about how Moon Knight plays when you have all of it to watch it in a row.
Yeah.
That makes it feel a little bit more like Falcon Winter Soldier, where it's like, man, shotgunning this all at the same time is like a very different experience than getting one after one. But the beginning of this is stronger than most of the other ones. I will say that too. I think that's really, really true, because I was sitting there like, wow, like, whoa, like this is completely different. Like you said, we got the costume at the end of episode 1. What else is going to happen? Because that, like, you know, Spencer Perry likes to joke with me all the time. He's like, that's what these shows are for. He's like, this is about getting people new costumes for the next movie. And I'm like, you, sir, are mean. You, sir, are not nice.
He's got a point. We've talked about that on here so many times. Like Falcon and Winter Soldier, it gives you great depth about Sam Wilson, but you could go from Endgame to Captain America 4 and just like there's not. I could very well be wrong about this when Cap 4 comes out. There isn't anything in Falcon and Winter Soldier that feels like must know content. Like need this to see it, and that's true of most of these shows. Like you went into Spider-Man No Way Home without having seen Loki. It doesn't matter. You just know the multiverse is there. And so I'm very interested to see. I think WandaVision is going to tie pretty thoroughly into Doctor Strange, because going from Wanda being just kind of sad at the end of Endgame to everything she did and had happened to her in WandaVision is going to be, I think that's really going to enhance your experience on Strange more so than any of the other shows. But I'm glad we came out swinging in the first episode.
Definitely.
All right. Do we have any final thoughts we want to talk about on Moon Knight episode 1?
I'm so excited for everyone to see the rest, because it like only gets crazier from here.
I'm excited to be everyone and to see the rest.
I when I tweeted my reaction, I said it plays like a movie, and I realized how frustrating that is, because I got all 4 episodes at the same time. And watching all 4 at the same time, I thought like I really, really enjoyed that. And I was really curious to see how people would react seeing these kind of stopping points. Like Mandalorian has a very episodic arc to each episode. Like there's a mission of the week and the overarching story, whereas Moon Knight and most of the Marvel shows have just been the story. And they kind of just stop for a second after.
Yeah. WandaVision's the only one that needed to be week to week, I feel like. The rest could have been...
Yeah, I agree, but I'm always going to be team weekly. I'm always going to be team weekly, because
I think both have their place.
Yeah.
But sometimes it can be interchangeable. Like sometimes I don't think it really makes a difference. And I think in the case of Disney, I prefer week to week as well. But I do think WandaVision is the only one that wouldn't have worked without it.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you. That's 100% true. All right, y'all. Well, that is our show. Thank you so much for watching. We have our new Phase Zero YouTube channel. Go search it. We've already over 1,200 subscribers. We just launched it on Friday, and we have already uploaded. We started on Monday. We have tons of interviews. We're just pushing out there. We got tons of content still for the rest of the week. We're going to start focusing on that channel quite a bit and trying to reward our people who subscribe there with some really cool content. We also started a Phase Zero Twitter community, which I'm still figuring out how that works. But it is like a place where we can just go tweet about Marvel and blow up the Phase Zero community Twitter thread instead of like all of our other friends who might not be Marvel fans. So we could just talk to each other, find each other, talk about Marvel all the time. I demand kindness and welcoming attitudes in there. It's okay to like stuff. It's okay to not like stuff. But if you be mean to people about their opinions or takes for no reason at all, we're not going to allow that. We will kick you from the community. But we welcome everybody into the community to come talk about Marvel and make friends and meet each other and have a little virtual hangout 24/7. So that's going to be fun stuff. And thank you so much for subscribing to the channel. Please continue to subscribe to the channel. It sounds so silly, but I know this will make sense to a lot of people. The Phase Zero channel growing, the numbers of our views going up, the number of our subscribers going up is just going to mean more opportunities for us to connect with people, for us to get those fan surprise videos and stuff that I really love doing, and getting fans involved and meeting people and asking your questions to celebrities and stuff like. That's my favorite part of all this. We're able to bring people in, get them to be part of the show and be part of the interactions. And the more we grow that, like, it's not just for the benefit of comicbook.com and all that stuff and the corporate mindset of it. It is genuinely publicists look at that. They say, wow, these people put up numbers. Let's send this person over there. People like Marsha Weinbaum, who we congratulated earlier in the day, they have a boss they have to answer to and justify getting a half hour of talent talking to people. And the higher our numbers are, the bigger our community is, the more engaged everybody is, the easier that is for us. My rant is over. That's our channel introduction. Jamie, any final words for the show?
Yeah, I do have a final word. If it is safe for you to go to the movies, if it's playing near you, I implore you to go see Everything Everywhere All at Once. Yeah. It is one of the best original films I have seen in literal years. I am convinced it will be my favorite movie of the year, which is a bold statement because it's also a multiverse film. So that's also me saying I think it's going to be my favorite multiverse movie of the year, which is crazy coming from me. It's beautiful. It's wild. It's funny. Please see it on the big screen. Movies like that aren't IP or anything, they need your support if it's safe, if you feel comfortable going to the movies. And that is the end of me today. Thank you all for listening to me rant. I love you all.
I for sure thought you were going to say go see Morbius, support small films like Morbius. Can I just say, I was in LA last weekend and I looked up showtimes for Everything Everywhere All at Once, and I want to see the movie so badly, and it was going to cost me like $75 in movie tickets and Uber. So I was like, I'll just see it when I get home. It's not playing in Nashville until April 22nd. I regret my decision. I want to see that movie so bad. Jenna.
That's a bummer. Go follow me on Twitter at Hey It's Jenna Lynn and go read some comics. There's some great ones this week. I was flipping through Immortal X-Men #1 earlier, and that is just very wild and very good. So yeah, go read comics and enjoy.
Hey guys, it's at Summon Lake Hornet on Twitter. I implore you to go watch that movie as well. That I am in Cleveland, and that is not playing here until God knows when. So I'm probably gonna see it when I go home too, and we're gonna have to drive at least an hour to go see it, and it'll be well worth the time. Also, I guess what else can we say? Please tell us what you want us to talk about on this Phase Zero YouTube channel as far as theories or other weird stuff. I see you guys asking for a room tour. Here I am in a void again. I live in a void. This is where I stay. So just let us know what you guys want, and we'll give it to you. Thanks for watching.
And we're going to figure out if we're going to do a Morbius episode. I'm hoping we can do it on Friday, but I don't know that everybody's going to be able to see the movie. Our interview with Daniel Espinosa has been cut down much shorter and off video. So I don't even know if we want to put that on the podcast. So we'll figure that out. But if you see Morbius, let us know your thoughts. Our thoughts from people who have seen it go up on Wednesday night. So they'll be out in the world, and I'm sure that's going to be a good time. But that's Phase Zero, Season 2, Episode 12. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for subscribing to the new YouTube channel. I'm Brandon Davis. Hit me up anytime you want. Go join our Twitter community. I'll figure out how to invite you. Good night, I guess. Congratulations on a great project, dude. Moon Knight. I've seen the first 4, and it's just awesome.
Oh, thank you.
It's cool. So they're bringing everybody back from the OG Spider-Man movies. You produced those Spider-Man movies almost 20 years ago for some of them. Toby's back. Sam Raimi's back with Marvel. You're back with Marvel. I want to start there. How has the experience compared? What kind of changes have you experienced in these types of projects?
The changes, not a lot, because I will say this, and I know you know this. Whether it was Spider-Man, whether it's Iron Man, whether it's Guardians of the Galaxy, I think one of the true geniuses that is Kevin Feige is all of these Marvel stories are anchored in intense character explorations. And that's what makes these unique. That's what makes them so good. All this incredible spectacle gets added afterwards, and it's an incredible journey, an incredible ride that Marvel is truly at the top of their game. But I think, that's why there's always a freshness, but there's always a familiarity because everything is anchored in character. So the stuff we were doing on Spider-Man, man, I took a lot of stuff that I learned from Sam, applied it to Moon Knight. It's always character first. Sam was always saying, if you don't care about Peter Parker, you're not going to soar with him through the caverns of New York. Same thing with Mark Spector, with Stephen Grant, with Moon Knight. If you don't care about Mark Spector and Stephen Grant, you're not going to really care what happens to Moon Knight. And so you just take that journey and those learnings from Sam, from Kevin, from storytellers at the top of their game, from Lou, Victoria, Brad, and obviously the great actors like Tobey Maguire, and then Oscar Isaac and Ethan Hawke, May Calamawy. Man, for me, I feel blessed. Lightning struck twice. Spider-Man, Moon Knight. I'll take them both.
That's awesome, dude. I would love. Do you and Sam or Toby keep up now? Have you had a chance to swap secrets on your projects or collaborate at all?
Well, no secrets because we all signed the NDA.
Sure.
But I can tell you, Sam's an amazing man. I love that guy, and I can't wait to see what he does with Doctor Strange. And I love him as a storyteller.
Yeah, I think we're all big fans of Sam here. When you guys started cracking the story of Moon Knight, were you taking a look at classic Moon Knight books from like the 80s or some of the more recent stuff like Jeff Lemire's runs in the recent years? What do you think are the core elements from comics that really summarize like the character you wanted to deliver in live action?
Yeah, my friend, we were going back to 1975 and Werewolf by Night because, that's where he got launched in issues 32 and 33, and then bounced around in some Marvel IP, which we took to look at in the next 5 years until 1980. He got his own comic. And then we looked at 1980 on, read every comic. And I think what we were really focusing on when we were starting the writer's room of Moon Knight is not necessarily one particular issue or one particular run. We were starting to single out what are the themes and the tones that are consistent throughout Moon Knight's journey through the decades. And once you start looking at that, you start picking up on, the very Indiana Jones-esque globetrotting action adventure. You do start to pick up on the very, very intense character study that the Moon Knight comics are. You do start to realize that in the Moon Knight comic, more than others, sometimes things go bump in the night. It's a little bit spookier. It's a little bit darker. And then you do start to pick up on the humor that is inherent in the Moon Knight comics, which is obviously inherent in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But we started to look at those themes and tones, and that's really when the story started to form itself, is, again, not looking at a particular issue, but just what's the flavor we want to tell in this Disney Plus offering.
I can't wait till we get to the point where Moon Knight is just walking into rooms full of Avengers with sarcasm, like, screw you, I got a mission here. Like, let's just, his dry humor from the comics. That's going to be fun.
But would he rip up the card, the Avenger card, or would he not rip it up?
Yeah.
He ripped it up in the pages when he did. Like, oh my gosh! I don't know. We'll see. We'll see where it lands.
I do have a team up question, but I'm saving it for later. You guys deliver a classic Moon Knight suit in this, and I want to hear when you guys were designing that, and I'm sure you went through various versions of concept art and stages. Was there ever like a nervousness of going full comic with it, or do you think like we've had a tree, we've had a raccoon, we've had Captain America in a spangly suit? The audiences have accepted what Marvel is giving them now.
There wasn't a nervousness when we were talking about the Moon Knight suit because it's so classically drawn for decades. It's there on the page and it's various iterations. And we grabbed little hints of probably all those iterations. But what you do realize, what's classic about the Moon Knight suit, I wear white so they see me coming. A white suit, man, that's tough. When you're rolling around the streets and fighting crime, that's the one thing that we worried about more than anything is how do we keep this thing clean and cool looking? But in terms of the look, man, it's had such classic designs through the years. And then, as you can imagine, the Marvel design team, Ryan and Rodney and team, they just, along with Megan, our costume designer, they knocked it out of the park. Also, Oscar came in. He had some changes. And man, I've been studying this through the ages. Can we do this? Can we do that? Can we tweak that? We did. And it was really a group effort. And I think it's going to show on the screen. I think people are going to love this costume.
And as we know, the MCU does love to update costumes with each new project. Moon Knight has a more modern one that's like the black and white, and he's got gadgets like the glider plane thing, the moon shape there. Like, do you think that that's some stuff that could be fun to play with? Have you started to fantasize already about where he could go, what he could look like in the future?
Hey, at my heart, I'm a fanboy, so I've been fantasizing about where he may go from here. But, as you can imagine, with all things Marvel, it's a great question for our leader, Kevin Feige. But I will say this, because of those tones and those themes that we talked about earlier, the globetrotting action adventure, the character study, the things that go bump in the night, the humor, I don't think there's too many corners of the Marvel Cinematic Universe that Moon Knight can't merge into. So like the rest of the fans, I can't wait to see where he pops up next. And I'm going to have to ask Kevin that question.
I want to ask you about, we get a lot of Mark, we get a lot of Steven. I know, from the comics, there are more personalities to this character. Is there more of that to come? Can you tease maybe a certain cab driver?
Well, there's a great cab driver on the pages. I can't say whether he's in the series or not, but I can tell you this, on Moon Knight, we're going to keep the audiences guessing until literally the last second, and you never know what you're going to see in this show.
One thing we all want to see, us fanboys, we want to see this Midnight Suns team come to fruition one day. And it seems like we're getting there, dude. Charlie Cox is here. Like, we got a whole bunch of opportunities to bring these characters together. Have you started to talk about that at all? Have you thought, what characters would you like to see him kind of interact with in such an ensemble?
Well, again, I think Kevin's got some grand plans in his mind, but I will tell you this, as the Marvel Cinematic Universe continues to expand and as certain portions of that universe do get a little bit darker and spookier, I do think there's a lot of opportunities for really groovy, cool team ups, and I can't wait to see them myself. I'm with you. The
MCU, obviously, it's getting crowded. We're talking about team ups. There's people all over the place on Earth, heroes, especially on Earth, and this one manages to stand on its own without relying on any other characters to help carry the story, make big surprises or connections or appearances. Why was it important to make sure Moon Knight's origin story stayed standalone in its own little pocket of the MCU?
I will say this, and as you can tell, to the observant viewer, Moon Knight is very much in the MCU, and you'll pick up on those little Easter eggs if you're watching closely. And I don't think like this being kind of a standalone opportunity is something we started out doing on purpose. But what we did realize that when you do look at those decades of incredible stories, mind-bending, freaky, trippy stories that Moon Knight goes through during the decades, we realized it's like once the dust settles and you focus on that character, he did kind of stand alone, and this was his journey. And so it was more of an organic exploration than anything. And we do think it's an exploration that the audience is going to enjoy going on March 30th. And we'll see what they say about Moon Knight.
I think they're going to have some good things to say. My last question for you: Moon Knight introduces a lot of gods to the MCU and a lot of mythology involving gods. There's a God Butcher coming to the MCU in Thor: Love and Thunder. Are you guys the reason we haven't seen a Thor trailer yet?
Oh, no. I've got no control over the other gods or the other universe or the trailers. But another great question for Kevin. I can tell you this: Thor's coming. It's going to be amazing. And I think these stories are just Kevin and Lou, Victoria, Brad, the whole team at Marvel tell stories on the grandest scale, and it's just mesmerizing to be part of. I feel blessed. I feel honored to be working with truly the best storytellers on earth. It's awesome.
It's awesome, man. If you ever want to dive into this even further, you're welcome on our Phase Zero podcast, because I could pick your brain about this all day, but I got to let you get to the next one for now. So
I'll be there, my friend. Tell me when and where.